Howdy everybody out there in YouTube land. Welcome back to the channel. So today we are going to be doing a review of the Magic Beyond Imagination show that I went to see this past week on April 9th in Wellsboro, PA. We're going to go through some of the stuff that we saw, some of the things that we liked, some of the things that, all great, fantastic, but we are going to, we're just going to talk about it. So, we're also going to let you know how you can go see them yourselves if you're in the area. So let's go ahead and jump over here. And like magic, it appears. So I am very, very excited. At least it seems like things are working out in this direction. We have this little poster here on the left side. They had printouts of that, but I didn't get one. But I did call the Dean Center, and they had the actual promotional posters from the window. So I might actually be getting those, one of them, sent to me in the mail. So, very excited about that. I got to meet and greet with them after the show. It was absolutely fantastic. We had a great time. I looked very strange. I'm going to show you in a little bit how I looked if you haven't seen the pictures or the video that I posted before. And we'll get a laugh at that. But, hey, it's me. I like it. That's all that matters. Anywho, so I just wanted to share that with you. Back over to here. Let's take a quick look at this. So those, if you can see them here on the table, we actually have them here. We're going to talk about these different cards and what they mean, the significance of them, and then we'll go from there. But let's take a look at some pictures. So that's Mr. Joe Maxwell. He is the host of the Magic Beyond Imagination group, the team. He was absolutely phenomenal. He came out, obviously, to do the introductions. He did the intermissions, and he was wonderful. He did do a production at the beginning. You probably can guess from the poster what kind of production that is. And then he also did a card trick later on that absolutely melted, as my brother says, because David was there. Absolutely melted everybody's minds. Thank you, Joe. It was absolutely wonderful. Here we go. Good time. So I chatted with him the most. Hopefully we'll have a chance to connect, and we'll go from there. Next up we have Cosmo. So Cosmo, or let's go back. I guess there's more to say about Joe. Real quick, Joe has been on TV. He's a drummer. He has such a great hosting vibe, atmosphere to him that it's just absolutely wonderful. The way that he connects with the audience is very broad, I'd say, like very open. He can host. That's what I'm saying. Like, you have to have a special energy to host, and Joe, you're killing it. And your magic is wonderful as well. So Cosmo is a street performer who's been doing it for 30 years. He was, I guess, I don't know if they're calling it this, but he's like the opening act of the show. But he is phenomenal. We're talking 30 years of experience. If you watch Doug Kahn, if you watch Jason Marr, you are familiar with how street magic goes. These guys are wonderful. And Cosmo, from a scale of 0 to 10, in terms of like, and this is something that he made reference to as a joke, but like, how did he put it? He's not out to offend anybody. But he's also, he doesn't want to be so mild that nothing's entertaining. He likes to be right on the fence. And, well, I would say some of the stuff that he said was a little bit over. I had my daughter with me. She's 9. The show is recommended for 8 and up. And I would say that there was some moments that were a little bit cringy to me. But that doesn't mean it's to everybody, because comedy is subjective, and I understand that. And so I try to be objective about it. But critically speaking, from my own personal experience and taste, we did have some red zone cringy remarks. But we also had some really fantastic times, and we're going to go into right now talking about the 7 of clubs, because again, I keep forgetting about Joe. This was the card that Joe, he did a card trick for his intermission between Cosmo and Garrett Thomas. So the 7 of clubs was that trick, so I had him sign that card, and that the same goes for the other one. So in terms of the trick, I'm not going to give anything away, but he had somebody pick a card. Classic. Then he threw the deck, he rubber banded it, and threw it into the crowd, had a bunch of people pick cards, and then he named their cards. Absolutely wonderful. Brilliant. So, it was a beautiful trick. Cosmo did this really nice routine where he did a bunch of stuff. He was all over the place. We're talking street magic, and I don't mean all over the place in a bad way. I'm saying he went through the motions of what you would expect from street magic, did a chop cup, did productions, did a lot of different wonderful things, and the card trick that he did, it was funny. So the spectator really helped with this. The spectator always helps with making the experience more enriching, better, grander. The guy thought he had the 6 of diamonds, so he kept saying the 6 of diamonds. He had the 6 of hearts. Everybody knew it. Anyway, Cosmo did the old gag. He's like, "It is now in your pocket." And I don't know if the guy was, he was from the VIP party, so he was, he may have been into it a little bit. And he reaches into his pocket, pulls everything out, and he's just staring in his hand. Like, it was great. The tension. Cosmo's like, "Well, what do you got there? Like, is it there or not?" He's like, "Well, of course it's not going to be there. Did you really think it was going to be?" It was wonderful. That's usually the line that you get. You usually get well, that would be a really good trick, wouldn't it? Or you would say, "If I could make something appear in your pocket from over here, I wouldn't be doing this." Like, that's usually how it goes. It was 10 times better because this guy was just in the moment of the whole, like, just, yeah. And not just playing along to up we're talking, like, in the moment. So absolutely wonderful. Talking about, like I said, talking about the actual patter that he had. Some of it was over here. Some of it was over here. Most of it right in the center. We're talking absolutely wonderful. Great distractions. But here's what I have to say. And this is not in any way, this is actually, I would say, a credit to myself. 95% of the show, I knew what was going on. Absolutely knew what was going on. Still absolutely loved the show, and there was a couple of moments that took me by surprise. And I think it was because I wasn't expecting something to happen in a certain way, or he did something out of, in a way that I wasn't looking. So that's another thing you have to consider when you're doing a performance, is that it's not always step 1, 2, 3, 4 in line. Sometimes you're doing step 1 and then step 2, but that step 2 might not actually come to play until step 11. So you're setting stuff up, and that was the magic moment for me when I was like, wait, when did he do it? And so now as a magician watching it, I'm thinking to myself, this is blowing me away, and I'm sitting right here in the second row. But also, like, even when I know what's happening, I still don't know when it's happening, so that's just a very nice thing to the actual show itself, the energy that he brought to it, the hype up for the crowd. You can just tell a street performer. Wonderful. And that's what I study mostly, because I consider Doug Kahn to be kind of like the modeling of who I enjoy, his energy and just the way that he brings everything out. So let's take a look at my picture real quick before we move on to the next person. So I just got this vest and this hat, and this is like the first picture I'm seeing of myself. And I may have went a little overboard with the green, but I'm not really sure. I'm not a fan of black, but they were all wearing black. And you'll see that here in a second, that Garrett Thomas as well has black. So the only color that Cosmo has is his bow tie. Everything else is black. And I'm like, I'm not a big fan of black, but maybe black would help me. That's all I'm saying. Maybe I just look better in black. So, here we go. There he is. Garrett Thomas. The main act of the show. We were giggling, we were laughing, we were having a good time. It was wonderful. We're talking, if you're familiar with seeing him on Penn and Teller, okay. let's talk about this, okay? His patter was almost spot on to what you saw in Penn and Teller, what you saw in Fool Us. It was his routine. That's what he performs. And that's what's beautiful. He performed the same thing that he performs to the person in the crowd is the same thing that he performed for Teller. Now, I don't know if he changed it up like mechanically for him. All I know, I study street magic apparently. that's what I enjoy. That's what I see. I've got the rings, the ropes, I do the card stuff. That's what the cups and balls stuff. Apparently that's what I study. My brain was melted. My brain was melted by Garrett Thomas. Okay, I'm still recovering from a lot of what he did. A lot of it. And I knew what to expect going in. That was the thing. I was like, I have no idea. I only saw, let's flip the script here, because we're talking 90 to 95% of what Cosmo did, I seen. I did it, and I loved it. Absolutely loved it. The performance was amazing. Garrett Thomas, I saw 2 things. Out of the whole routine, even though I know how it's done, I only saw like 3 or 4 things. And we're talking about a 45-minute set. That is crazy. The amount they penned him, that his intro was the world's greatest close-up magician. And I believe it to a certain extent. I would say that I would put him in the top 5 in the world, top 10. Even if you say top 100, you're still talking about a very elite class of individuals. His sleight of hand was off the charts. And I tell you, the mind-blowing stuff. So going through his routine, and we'll get to the card here real quick. So he opens up his routine with this very fascinating thing that I actually just looked into this recently. This was the so here is his if you can see it. Let's I think we're good here. Well, let's go right up. Yeah, okay, so this is everybody together. I stick out like a sore thumb. Maybe that's a good thing, maybe that's a bad thing. I don't know. Let's jump back over to OBS here real quick. There he is. There's the guy behind the camera, or in front of the camera. There is no guy behind the camera. It's just me. So if you can see this, so it says Garrett, and you flip it over, and it says Thomas. So he has spent, presumably, a lot of time creating that signature, because he performed that during the show as like a piece, as his opener. And that's his signature. That's legitimately the guy's signature. Is the way he signs it it's magic. It's like you flip it over and it's the same. That is beautiful. That's the way he signs it. So, that being considered from the beginning, just because I have recently been looking into that type of effect, is it magic per se? No, but it's a cool principle. But I recently was looking into it, so but it's still like, you turn it over and your brain's like, wait, it just said Garrett. Now what does it say? Thomas? What is going on? It's good stuff. It is amazing. So that being said, he does his ring. He does the ring magic. He did some coin stuff. We did see some stuff with that. I think there was one thing that we saw clearly, and however, there was things that we didn't see clearly. So my point is that he's doing the regular coin stuff in the purse, the little coin purse thing, and it's great. And then he goes to like medium-sized coins, and I'm just like, he says, yeah, they're fine in here. You just gotta shrink them down. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's good. I believe you. Okay. And then he's like, okay, now if you try to get the big one in there, it's not gonna work because there's a second one in there. And I'm like, exactly, that's what I thought. I was just totally blown away by the timing and everything. It was beautiful. And then he brought out the jumbo coin, and that one was still a decent effect, but unfortunately there probably was very little that he could do, being surrounded as he was on 3 sides, and the way that he moved his body in order to make it come out. I don't know. It was still a great ending for that particular set. But yeah, so it was just something that we saw. But either way, I don't want to break down every little section that he did, but I do want to talk about something, the card trick, and then I do want to talk about the thing that destroyed my brain. Okay, here we go. So the card trick is a card trick that I learned 2 years ago, and I have no idea how to perform it, but I kind of have like I don't remember the setup, but I kind of understand the premise. So I was like, okay, I can get that. Looks wonderful in your hands. But he sets it up differently because I learned it as a prediction trick. He learned it as mind-blowing card magic. Anyway, so this was the card. So he basically made the entire deck disappear, presumably by choice of the spectator or the person on hand helping him. And then the card was the only card left. Beautiful card magic. There was distance between the magic and the mechanic, and some of it was happening right in his hand. That's the thing. Like, just because you're distancing yourself from the effect with the magic doesn't mean that you're distancing yourself literally. Sometimes it could just mean that you've already done something and you're waiting for the audience to catch up, and that's the case with this trick. It is, if done correctly, oh my god. Literally, oh my god. Whichever one you pray to, whatever god you happen to pray to, I'm more of the Norse persuasion with Odin and things like that, as my patron, not necessarily as a actual deity in the sky, or maybe they're already dead. Who knows? I don't know. I don't study these things. All I know is, oh my Odin, or whatever. It was amazing. So now let's talk about the melting of the brain, as David calls it. He sets it up so perfectly. And we're going to be spoiler free as much as possible. We're just going to explain what we saw. So he picked a security guard or police officer, and I'm presuming that he usually tries to do this. Somebody who's in a field who would check IDs. Great. This makes sense, right? Because this person would be presumably doing this on a regular basis or just as part of their job. So this guy comes up. He takes a look at the guy's ID. He brings out his ID. Great. He has the guy put stickers on his ID, so you know it's like he's not going to have a second ID, maybe, but in terms of the premise of the trick, there's only one ID in existence, and the stickers are on it to show that, that's the same one. Great. Puts it in his wallet, puts it away, blah, blah, blah. Okay. First phase, he switches the places of the IDs. And you're like, whoa, that's pretty crazy. Great. The final phase, Garrett goes on to say, specifically, I studied other effects like this, and I said, let's do better. Okay. Then he studied the best effects of that, and he said, okay, let's do better. Apparently, because my brain, I came up with a couple of different ideas about how it was done, but none of that matters. It doesn't even matter. Cue The Rock. I don't have that type of technology here. But, okay. So then he switches. Okay. Okay. So he says, I don't ever put somebody else's ID in my wallet because then it can be misconstrued as somebody else's property, right? By law enforcement. That ties it back in. And so he presumably had the guy's ID in his wallet, and he's got his money and his cards and all this stuff. And the guy said, well, then I would say that is my wallet because my ID's in it. Obviously, he knows it's not his wallet, but from the perspective of looking at a potential victim of a crime, he would say, oh, you took this wallet from this other person. Well, and so Garrett says, well, that's why I never put somebody else's ID in my wallet. And he's holding the wallet in his hand, here in frame, right? So imagine this. Over here, the distance to his jacket. Now the wallet is in this hand, and the card is in this hand over here. Needed a mop after that because it was so visual. If I were to watch that 10 times in a row, on camera, maybe I would have picked something up. But that's not. because we're going to go into the final phase of what we're talking about here when it comes to a live performance. This is where the magic happens, okay, people? Magic comes from books, and magic is meant to be enjoyed in person. That's what we got to talk about here, okay? Because there is a public service announcement that I need to make, okay? I don't enjoy exposing magic, okay? And have I done so? Yes, because practicing and doing different things, and maybe I'm not ready for camera or the angles or different things like that. So, and that's mostly purely by accident. Some of the things that I teach are hopefully step one in the book. So like if I opened up a book and I said, hey, I just got this book, I'm gonna go ahead and show you the first trick, because I've shown you other tricks on the channel that you have to learn the fundamentals before you can add them together to get to the bigger package, to the bigger trick, the routine. Everything comes together, culminates into a pot of deliciousness, if you will. So if I were to expose something directly on purpose to teach it to you, it's because it's a fundamental thing that you should be learning. The French drop, I say that you should know how to do this, okay? You should know how to do this. You should know how to get this coin over to this hand and to make it disappear. You should know how to do that before you do anything else. And of course, that's the French drop. I've shown it on this channel. If anything, it's my Expelliarmus. It is my go-to coin thing, because it's the one that I've been practicing the longest, and because it is fundamentally something that does everything. Catches the light. It teaches you how to manipulate coins with one hand. That's something you need to know. It teaches you how to grab a coin. It teaches you so many different things that you should know. Okay? Anyway, public service announcement is that for people who are just going online to expose tricks for clout or for views and things like that, you're your own special niche. That's all I got to say about that, because a lot of the times I don't really enjoy that type of video. I enjoy tutorials because that are good. You know, they're trying to teach you the next stage, or it's the next form of media, because eventually books are going to be outdated. But what we have nowadays is we have YouTube and things like that. So this is our encyclopedia of knowledge. .com. Anyway, public service announcement over. Mind-melting magic needs to be observed in person, in the moment, to feel, just like if you're listening to live music, if you're watching a play, which I love theater, it's all in the moment. It's very hard to sit behind a screen and watch something and not get the you can get that, like, think about this, right? So let's say you're sitting at home. I'm not a big sports fan, but let's say you're sitting at home watching the game, and you're like, oh, yeah, that was good. Okay. Yeah, that's good. Now imagine you got 10, 20 people around you, or if you're out at the pub or whatever, you're out having a party and a pizza party and a wing party or whatever, and you're watching the game, and I don't even watch sports. But when I'm in that setting, I am a part of the group. I watch the game. I get the food. I get the food. And I get the food. Anyway, the idea is that if you're a magician, you want to create that moment for other people. But as a person, you crave entertainment. And the best way to do that, in my mind, is to put your body under that stress condition to feel that experience with every part of your body, all the senses, the room, hearing the spectators behind you with the oohs and ahs, and following along with them. Magical. Absolutely magical. So there we have my breakdown of the magic beyond imagination, and this is a little bit longer of a video than I've been doing lately, but I wanted to get this content to you guys to really talk about this, and to do what I've been setting out to do for a little bit on the channel, which is to actually talk to you about things that are happening in the world. Actual magic, magicians, things like that. I review cards because I enjoy cards. David collects them, I review them. But objectively, the cards that I would really prefer to review are the cards that are created by you guys. Yeah, if you're watching this and you have cards that you have created, you're the one that I want to connect with. Yes, I love the big cards. I love all that. I love slow hands. I love first playing cards. I love all that. USPCC is great. That was enough C's. Okay. They're great cards. They've come out with all these different things. But I really want to connect with the independent designers, the people who are making cards and who want to advertise them. Look me up. Click the buttons and send me a message, and I'll be happy to do any kind of promotion that you need for those cards, because I love doing that kind of stuff. But I also want to talk about the Magic community. So let's jump right over here. Magic Beyond Imagination happening next. So here we have April 15th. I know, it's only 3 days away. Okay? And as far as I know, there's still tickets available in Oneida, New York. So if you're out in that area and you didn't know this was happening, go check them out. Even if you've got to drive, I had to drive 2 hours. That wasn't terrible. We stayed overnight. It was a fun experience. We walked around the town. We have more memories than just the Magic show to take away from that experience. And it was absolutely brilliant. So, love it. So this is what's going on. Take a look. Feast your eyes on the screen and all the details that are there for you and your viewing pleasure. As it talks about Garrett Thomas, Cosmo, Joe Maxwell. Yes. Promos available, potentially. And this is happening at the Foothills Performing Arts and Civic Center, 24 Market Street, Oneida, United States. That's Oneida, New York, just so you know. This is where it's located. It's kind of, just to give you an idea, where's a big city? A lot of these are probably big cities if you're from the area. I'm pretty sure like Albany is right over here. Binghamton should be down here. Yeah. Now it's taking me to a different page. Travago. No. I contemplated going to this event as well just to watch them again, but I don't. There's Albany. Yeah. So it's between Binghamton and Albany in Utica. So there's a big triangle up there. Where we were for the last show was actually. I mean, they're just working their way around. We were actually right here. Wellsboro, PA. So that's where they did their last show. And it's a little tourist attraction because it's got the Pennsylvania Grand Canyon. It was a nice little setup. It was about 150, 160 people. And it was a great time. That's really all there is to take away from this. It was a great time. And there we are. So thank you for coming along for this journey of my walkthrough of the Magic Beyond Imagination performance. It was amazing. I'm so glad that I got to meet these people. I'm glad that I've got their signatures, and I'm glad that these cards all mean something beyond just the cards themselves. This is brilliant. Now, these are not the exact cards that they use in the routines. That would have been even more amazing, but these were actually just cards that were from the deck one of the decks that I was carrying with me. So, yeah, there's that. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I really do hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys stuck along for the whole long rant that we had here. Not much of a rant, but hopefully it was educational. Hopefully it was meaningful to you. And hopefully we can do more of this in the future. And if any of you guys know of any small Magic performances or things that are happening in the area, I just went to one yesterday as well. I like to go watch them. I like to go see them. I like to connect with these individuals and see what they offer. You know, what it is that they do. So, thank you guys. And remember, always remember, stay positive, stay active, and stay awesome. And we'll see you in the next one.